I don't want to get too far into the Mueller thing or into the William Barr thing because I'm sure you watched it, part of it today, or you'll see plenty of highlights. Kathy had the telescreen on most of the day, so it was available for either or both of us to watch as we passed in and out of the living room. I watched a bit of it, and once again, the sick feeling I got realizing that the Republicans are, honest to God, part of one of two political parties in this country. And at the current time, they control the judiciary, they control the Supreme Court, they can control the Senate, and they control the presidency. And to watch some of the questions that were presented to Barr, especially from people like Tom Tillis, who is from North Carolina, senator from North Carolina, and one of the founders of the Newspeak organization called the Freedom Caucus. Freedom Caucus. But I have to tell you, in watching the bits and pieces that I did today, I had a very bad feeling that I've had now for several months, several weeks anyway, ever since the Mueller report was released, parts of it. I say parts because so much of it is redacted. And this slimy son of a bitch, who was the nation's chief law enforcement officer, William Barr, offered his 4-page take on a 500-page, essentially an indictment of this criminal fucking president of ours. Ever since that was released, and I watched Barr have a press conference with Rod Rosenstein, that sneaky little coward standing behind him, it occurred to me that we really have some rough time coming. I mean, really. This president, this rotten Donald Trump, I have a feeling is going to get away with everything. No matter what kind of evidence is presented about this grifter, this goddamn criminal snake, he manages to slither away. And he's got the Twitter feed with 59 million followers, so he's got a megaphone that he can use with no filter system, no TV, radio, newspapers, nothing. He just goes directly to 59 million people, not all of whom are his supporters. But that's what social media has done. Social media has enabled, and this wasn't its intent, but I just wonder if the people who designed Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, if they had any inkling that it would be the perfect, you couldn't come up with a better platform for a would-be dictator. You just couldn't. In the past, rising dictators had to rely on newspapers after they murdered the editors and installed their own people, radio after they seized radio stations and took over the broadcasting, news clips in the theaters. You can see some of the Nazi news clips online. That's what dictators of old had to rely on. Modern day dictator wannabes like this pig fucker Donald Trump has instant 60 million people who will read his lies and his deceit and his childishness and his lack of any kind of moral or ethical compass. Just instantly. All he has to do is type it out and hit send, and 60 million people are exposed to his shit. So, watching this toad today. William Barr. How many times did he say well, I don't know. You're the fucking Attorney General. Well, no, you're not. You're Trump's front man. You're Trump's Roy Cohn. Actually, you would be Roy Cohn's Roy Cohn. The guy who knows how to cover things up. The guy who knows how to get Oliver North's balls out of a vice after he committed treason against the United States and should have been shot. He was in active duty, Oliver North was, when he committed treason against the United States. Who gives a fuck, right? Nobody cares. So the sick feeling I've been getting is that there's no stopping this slow process into fascism. And I said the other day, not to sound like Alex Jones, but I really do have a deeper sense after watching some of this testimony today that Trump very easily, and for me, expectedly, if he sees the polls are running against him as badly as they have been, will declare a state of emergency. He'll start a war if he has to. This fucker will not leave office. I don't know if he'll leave after 8 years, unless he dies, but he will not leave office after 4. That's my strong feeling. I really do feel that. Because he's such a filthy human being with no moral compass, nothing. And somebody mentioned last night on, I don't know if it was on MSNBC or CNN or someplace, that in the past, when members of an administration were called out by the press or by the public because of their horrific behavior, they would back off or they would offer up some kind of an excuse or response. These fucking people don't do anything. They don't give a shit. They absolutely could not care a whit about what is said about them. They're just continuing along their grifting Nazi way. Have you noticed that? Nothing triggers some kind of a response in any of these thugs, even remotely resembling a sense of conscience or remorse, or maybe I better do this right, or I do have ethics. It's not there for any of them. Starting with the orange monster at the top of this pile of shit. It's just unbelievable. So expecting some moral awakening with these people, if you're expecting that, forget about it. It's not going to happen. And as far as prosecuting these sons of bitches, that's not going to happen either. I just have a feeling, I swear to God, I have this sick feeling that Trump is going to get away with destroying the little shreds of democracy that were starting to take root after 240 years. Little bits and pieces over the past 40 or 50 years, 60 years. All right, 80 years. Little bits, starting with the New Deal and coming up to the Green New Deal. Little bits and pieces of real democracy. And it took the freeing of women and people of color to the point where they could run for office and get elected. But running for office and getting elected means shit to Trump and the Nazis who now own the Republican Party. That doesn't mean anything. That's quaint, almost. If these people don't respect the rule of law, and they don't, then governing as this country, good or bad, has been governed for the past 240 years is no longer relevant. This is government by gangsterism. And Trump is showing the American people, if anybody's fucking paying attention, which I'm beginning to wonder, that he is declaring the judiciary in his pocket The Senate in his pocket, those fuckers, and the House of Representatives, the People's House, totally irrelevant. Means nothing. And he has surrounded himself with a cadre of fascists that I think political writers or people much smarter than I have over the years kind of warned, if this surging or resurging fascism in this country ever got to the point where the leader of the country, so-called, was a full-out fascist, as Trump is. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to The Ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.